I visited Zapurza Art and Culture Museum at Pune Khadakwasla. It was a Zen meditation experience for me. It was perfect example of organic architecture where the space, the build structure and the landscape everything blend into each other seamlessly. Designed and conceptualized by our today's esteemed guest, architect Shirish Beri. Shirish Beri has a philosophy for life that life is not a problem to solve, but life is a mystery to live. So, sir, today please enlighten us on this concept of life.
Hello, hello everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here at this Parivartan Podcast. Parivartan is change and transformation, and I have always been looking at my life also through that lens. Actually, all this thing started when I was studying at SEPT in my third year, and there were so many questions
Yeah.
kind of crowding in my head. Who am I? What am I doing here? What is architecture? What is the relationship of architecture to life? What are values in life? Are they absolute? Are they relative? So many things, and it had reached such a stage that it was difficult for me to sort of concentrate. So I told my parents that I want to take a drop from architecture. I was studying in SEPT Ahmedabad for 1 year.
Yeah.
They were taken aback. They said, Gary, you're doing so well in the college, you're getting good grades and all that. Why do you want to take a drop? Because they felt that if I take a drop and go on my journey of exploration of life and myself, I might disappear somewhere in the Himalayas or something like that. And then
The traits were there from the childhood.
yeah, those were there. So they said, "Nahin, nahin, so we compromised. We compromised saying that, okay, I'll come home every vacation. So whenever I would come home, I would do some, that time we used to do hand-drawn perspective sketches. So I was good at drawing, so I used to do these perspective sketches, get some money. And with that money, I would start off on my own. So every vacation, I would have 1.5 months to myself, alone. And I would go to places where I didn't know anybody, I didn't know the language. So I would do sketching, I would do thinking and introspection. But that period of wandering and pondering was very good for me because it taught me a lot in life. I mean, and then I would go back to college, SEPT, and I had very little money that time. Because whatever I earned, I would spend about 10 to 15 rupees per day. That time, it was 1970.
Oh.
So this and I used to spend, and because I used to sleep on the beach, or I used to sleep on, I even slept on park benches, and I slept in dormitories. Says even if the hotel was a little expensive, I would say, can I sleep on the terrace? I could sleep on the terrace and do this. So, but it was a good learning experience, that whole thing. So these questions continued after I graduated also. After I graduated, my father called me to his room and he said, look, my elder brother,
Yeah.
he's just returned from the States after his master's in structural engineering. So why don't you also go for your master's? It was very easy for me to get admission at Harvard or
Absolutely.
MIT because SEPT had an understanding with them, an exchange. So I said, let me think about it. And so I took some time because it said I kept the money for you to travel. Once you go there, you can get teaching assistantship or some scholarship or something like that, and you continue. Thought about it, and I felt that in architecture, I try to ask myself, I've always been following my heart. Whatever I did in life, even today, because
I have witnessed that, yeah.
because you called me today, I said, though I have a lecture in the evening, I said, but you're doing something interesting, something good. And we have a certain relationship. So I said, yes to you.
Yes. It
So,
was our honor.
and understand one thing, I always tell my students that is that in this busy world with so many things happening all the time, you can't listen to your heart because there's so much noise, so much din around.
So
So,
much pressure also.
yeah. So I took that time and I listened to my heart, and my heart told me that uh, I try to find out what I enjoy most in life. So and what are my true principles? And so I thought one was nature. I had to be close to
Yeah.
nature all the time. Then second was simplicity. Third was compassion for everyone. Fourth was silence. These things are important. So then I asked myself, would these things be enhanced if I go for my post graduation abroad? And I realized that they wouldn't be enhanced.
Yeah.
So then what should I do? So I went to my father. I said, "Ki, look, I will not go abroad, but you give me the money that you have kept for my foreign travel."
Right.
So he said, "What are you going to do with it?" I said, So then I said, "I will buy a small piece of land at the edge of the mountains in Sayadri Mountains, about 55 kilometers from Kolhapur, at a place called Gaganbauda, and stay there
Right.
by myself." And it was a wonderful experience. And with that money, I built my first A-frame house, a cottage at the edge of the cliff. And I learned a lot from the silence there, from nature,
Yeah.
even from the shepherds whom I used to talk to. That's how my journey started. I did a lot of work that time. My first few projects which I did during the late 70s were also published in Inside Outside as the Inside Outside
Yeah.
Man. Long back,
Yeah.
it's 1980, yeah. So, when you
The
said
question,
that
yeah.
life is not a problem to
Problem.
be solved, but a mystery to be solved. So I have always been living in this mystery,
Mystery.
living with nature in Gaganbauda.
So whatever comes, you
Yeah, then
will.
I was nominated for a fellowship at Princeton in US. Didn't go there again, and then I decided to work on a real experiment in Konkan on a 5-acre land
Okay.
by efficiently recycling the various biochemical energies of that place, whether I could reach a level of sustainability and self-sufficiency. So which we tried. I was there almost for 20 years.
Okay, in
That's
Konkan.
right. These are the places, these are my retreats, like Gagan first, then Nadhavde. Then, because I like the sea, I went to Devgarh. I built a small place there for myself. And now I'm at the lake house in Andur. But these are places for me to pause. And this is another important thing I would like to tell my fellow architects and students also. It's very important to pause in life. Only when you pause, you can analyze what has been happening, whether whatever you have been doing is good or not, or whether it is actually, true to your heart, or is it actually relating to life as a whole.
So you mentioned unlearning is more important than learning.
Exactly, and
Unlearning,
that was
yeah.
another reason. Exactly, that was another reason why I didn't go abroad. Is that in architecture, in engineering, yes, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Then you learn further, 2 into 2 is also equal to 4. Then you learn further, 4 divided by 2 is also 8 divided by 2 is also equal to 4.
Yeah.
So, but in architecture, it's very different. 2 plus 2 is not necessarily 4 because there are so many factors concerned. In our geometry, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Right.
In architecture, it is
It
a
can be
slalom.
very.
Slalom is the path which a skier takes when he skis down the slopes, and that is the path of least resistance. You watch it from the top of your from building.
It's not a direct fall.
No, you watch a playground in
Yeah.
front of you. You see paths going like that, like that. No path is going straight to the other side. People crossing the playground.
And the
Open
path is
field.
not marked also.
Yeah, it's not marked.
Yeah.
It just happens. So it's like that. So unlearning, I thought was very important. I had learned accept. I wanted to unlearn and relearn.
Right.
And that I keep doing for every project. For every project is the process is unlearning and relearning. So that's why again life becomes a very beautiful,
Mysterious.
very you know, enjoyable all the time.
You said ki you have retreats at different places in Maharashtra, near Kolhapur. So this retreat where you are staying or where you have constructed, or you can say it's a different architecture, again like a sustainability architecture, and also resourcing everything and recycling everything. Uh, Even the spaces you have said is can be transformed, like the living space can transform into bedroom and bedroom can
Yeah.
transform into study.
Yes.
How exactly this happens and how you can uh, tell our younger generation that you can stay without gadgets, because even a small child has to have a gadget nowadays in his hand or her hand. So how can we keep away those younger generation and students away from gadgets? Can you guide us, please?
Actually, for me, life has always been the major source of inspiration. So, if the younger generation gets hooked on to living life,
Right.
gets hooked on to living real life, I mean, if they start enjoying life, then automatically these things fall apart. Like I have not seen a TV serial at all till today. I have one more thing to tell my students of design and architecture is that our vocation is very beautiful and wonderful in a way that it offers us the freedom which no other discipline offers.
Absolutely.
Like a doctor has to sit in his office, a lawyer also has to sit in his office all the time and be there all the time. But as an architect, since 1974, I have been practicing architecture with a tremendous amount of freedom, which also maybe shows in my work, is that I would go to these retreats of mine on the mountain or in Konkan or on the seashore, and that's where I designed. All my designing happened there. The drawings, then the instructions,
So
I
you
would
do
give those instructions,
sketches
sketches,
on the paper.
yeah, and then I would give them to my staff in Kolhapur. They would transfer them into drawings. I would meet my clients, go for site visits. So everything was happening very well. I mean, there was no client has ever complained that
Flexi time.
but no client has ever complained that there was a delay in our delivery. Don't like I came today from Pune. Right from Navi Mumbai to here, it's
I
such a
know.
horrible journey. I mean, why do people have to live in Thane, Airoli, Mumbai, and all that? You know, today with modern technology, you can live anywhere. And I was
Anywhere.
living anywhere when
Agreed.
there was no modern technology in '74, and I would do my work, give my sketches to my draftsmen, and they can do it. So, an architect has the freedom to sit anywhere and work,
True.
which I was
Agreed.
doing. I was to spend about 15 to 18 days in the mountains, and about the remaining time in the city at different times, 3 days now, 3 days later, 3 days later, or go for site visits, and again I would come back and like basically what I was doing was I was expending a lot of energy when I came to the city and when I
Yeah.
did work and met people. And then I would go back to nature. That's where I recharged myself.
Yeah.
Just as you recharge your mobile.
Rejuvenate.
I recharged myself from nature's silent energy.
It's not scary that all the animals. I heard that there are no windows, there are no doors.
The living dining doesn't have any
It
door windows at
transforms
the
into different spaces. Yeah.
in Andur. They didn't have the living dining space, a multi-purpose space, as you said again, did not have any uh, doors, windows. It had a mezzanine floor
Yeah.
on top. So I used to sleep on the mezzanine floor. It was an A-frame house in the beginning. So I used to
In
sleep
between.
there,
Yeah.
and what happens is when you live in this fullness and oneness of life, everything in life responds, to that universal energy, because you are connecting to that universal energy,
Resonates. Huh.
and that universal energy is everyone. So that's why when I was sleeping on the top there, the panther used to come and sleep below. and eat below in the night, because it used to be very cold and wet and all that. It was कधीतरी खायचं, कधी शिकार घेऊन यायचं आणि खायचं तिथं
पण भीती
सकाळी.
नाही वाटली.
I used to be on the top, and he didn't feel unhappy, afraid. I didn't feel afraid. So in the morning, I would see it going away from the glass upstairs. When he went away, I came down. Now at the place, Lake House place, we have bisons coming, Indian bisons.
yeah.
Gaurede.
Yeah,
Gave. They
Gave
come into my compound and all that. We've seen them at close quarters.
स्नेक्स वगैरे तर खूप कॉमन असते.
It's very common. I started working for the almost first 10 years of my practice. I did a lot of work. I didn't even become a partner in my father's firm.
I know.
I used to draw only 500 rupees, then 1000 rupees, 1200 rupees from the office. And that used to be enough for me and my caretaker. Later on, after getting married, it went to around 1200, 1500 rupees. But no savings. I never had any savings in.
Okay.
Because I felt that my capital was here. So wherever I went, I would earn enough. And for my sustenance. But that was a mistake in a way, fallacy, because in 1984,
Okay.
Mansi, unfortunately, she used to wear shoes on the farm. Mansi is my wife. Fortunately, she stepped on a Russell's viper,
Oh my God.
a very poisonous snake, and that bit her on the leg.
My
And
God.
then we had to take her to Kolhapur for some time, Miraj, and because that was the time when smaller cities didn't have dialysis also.
Yeah.
So we had to fly her to Mumbai. She was in British Candy for almost a month.
बापरे.
That's the same time when Amitabh Bachchan was in the suite
Oh.
for his myasthenia
injury.
gravis,
Yeah.
that coolie shooting.
Coolie.
So we were in the room below. That taught me a lesson that I must say, because that time I had to beg, borrow. I did not steal, but I did beg, borrow money to pay the hospital bills.
Right.
And then from then onwards, I started saving. And that saving has come in very handy today, because that saving is not for me only, but that saving we are also using for the environment, poor environment, and for the poor people.
Anthropocentric. So our design has turned anthropocentric, keeping man in the center, and we are exploiting the nature. So how will you guide the young students today not to have these things in mind, but keeping the nature in the center, planet Earth into the consideration, and what changes in the syllabus or general education system we can propose?
Actually, the designs become anthropocentric because we are anthropocentric. Basically, that's the problem. That has been the problem with man all the time, all through the ages, that man thinks that everything on this planet is for him.
It's revolving
around him. Like he is the center of the universe. That's why they call it anthropocentric. So he thinks that he is the center and everything is for his exploitation.
Right.
So that's why nature is being exploited. Other human beings are being exploited. And only me has to have more and more and more. But how much more? If we understand our true place in life, that we are not the center of this universe, but we are a very small microorganism in this entire wonderful universe, And we are, so because of that, when I look at myself as an integral part of this wonderful, fascinating web of life, then I feel full myself.
True.
When I feel full myself, I don't need to be dishonest. I don't need to be greedy. I don't need to be insecure.
Yeah. Very
No,
important.
I really don't feel all that. No, because this entire universe, the universe is being. What will I lose? I lose nothing. What will I gain? Nothing. So that's why there are no CCTV cameras. There's no doors and locks. Even in the city, the kolhapur house, we sleep in our terrace. We don't have an air conditioner in the house.
Oh.
If I want, I can air condition the full house.
Yeah, definitely.
If I want, I can have a few BMW cars today.
Definitely.
But I don't need them. So I can use that money for a better cause somewhere. So we sleep on the terrace, we keep the doors open. Sometimes a
Security.
thief may come in, but our mind is free, no? We are so happy. Even fortunately, my wife also feels that way. And so, why? Because we have this feeling of oneness and wholeness and fullness with life. That is why our daughter's name is Purna.
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 That is Purna.
And that was inspired by the Ishavasya Shanti from the Ishavasya Upanishad.
Right, right.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate.
Wow.
Om Shanti Shanti
Shanti,
Shanti.
Shanti.
So this wholeness is something which we need to fill within. You are asking about this education. When I graduated also, there was a dilemma
Right.
what to do, whether to go for post-graduation abroad. I had an offer to grow potatoes and make cakes in Kodaikanal, which I tried also.
Okay.
I went and worked in Auroville.
Okay. Auroville. Pondicherry.
Pondicherry. So there was a dilemma as to what to do. So that is why, through my, I myself have started a fellowship for graduating architecture students.
Right.
One from SEPT. I had
Okay.
started, but now after COVID, it has been revived again, which we want to revive in another different way. So we used to choose one student, graduating student, architect from SEPT. The faculty and the college will help me in doing that. They would grade him in terms of his academics. If his academics is good, grade him higher. And if his family income is low, they would grade him high.
Right.
So people who from slightly lesser privileged families and good students.
Good students.
So
Academically.
I would interview them and we would choose one student from SEPT because I'm indebted to SEPT in some way.
Right.
And second, I would choose two students from the Kolhapur schools
Okay.
because I belong to Kolhapur.
Barabar.
So we had 3 students. Each student would get about a lakh and a half, between 1 lakh and 1,50,000 for 6 to 8 months, which would take care of his own expenses, at least his living. And the reason I gave this money to these students was for them to do nothing. They would say, what should I do? What should we do with it? I said,
Explore.
explore. Explore outside and inside, both.
Right. Right.
So these students, first of all, there used to be a little,
Because they are not used to this concept.
they used to be a little
till then.
confused. What do we do? But later on, we had such wonderful interactions. They used to come and stay with me at the lake house. We used to talk about life, values in life, this, that. So they had a great time. I had a great time. And so this time they had never questioned themselves in life as to what their role was and what their true values were. What was that in life which brought goosebumps on their
Right.
body? And I always used to say, what is it that brings goosebumps on you? That is what you should follow.
Right. True calling.
The true calling. So they would do that, and then some of them decided not to do architecture, which is good.
Naturally.
But they went into something else where they're happier.
Another stream.
They're happier there, like your son.
Yeah. Following his dreams. Medium for architect is space. So is that the inspiration for your movie called
Uru the space.
Uru the Space?
Yes.
And also give a small example where this, or you can give many examples because you have created so many spaces, where the space has affected or changed the positive change to the young mind.
There are quite a few, and I'm going to talk about some of them tonight. When I ask my students, like, what is the medium of an architect, and as I say that the language is the medium for a writer or a
Right.
poet, the paints and canvas and stuff is a medium for the painter, or sare gama
Yeah,
notes
the
or do re
music.
mi fa sol la ti is the medium for the musician. So what is the medium of an architect? So the student many times says brick, concrete, stone, wood and all that. And I said, yes, that is it. But the true medium is space.
Space.
Because space is basically nirgun, nirakar
Right.
and immeasurable. It is immeasurable, intangible.
Intangible.
It is formless. And with the materials and with our designing, we attribute a certain quality to that space.
Yeah.
Like this, what was here before? It was a vacant
Open
plot.
space.
But then you have created this. So this has a certain quality today.
Right.
So that way, some quality is not good for people, some quality is good. So, and I always feel that there are two kinds of spaces basically, and even our scriptures have talked about it. In our scriptures, space is called Avkash,
Avkash, yeah.
and there is one outer space of physical action which is measurable, tangible, like this space we are sitting in now. It is tangible and is measurable.
Yeah.
So that space is called Bhutakash. And that is called the outer space. But at the same time, there is an inner space within us,
Right.
which is called the Chidakash
Okay.
or the Chitakash.
Okay.
And
Chida, the.
the and the, they are both,
Both.
Chitakash as well as Chidakash. I did a lot of study on that since many years I've been thinking about it. And I have found that both these spaces have a tremendous interactive relationship between
Okay.
each other.
Okay.
You know, both are simultaneously affecting each other.
Bhutakash and Chidakash.
Chidakash, the outer space and the inner space. Why is this Bhutakash, this outer space, as it is? Because it has something to do with your inner space,
Okay.
your Chidakash.
Okay.
You have created this space. It is like that. Now, why is our society, why is that traffic so much today? I mean, when in which I am coming, why are people honking? Why are there big billboards and commercial things saying that eat me, consume me, buy me, and all that? Why is hardly any good architecture seen on the streets? Why are buildings being covered with hoardings also? Because our inner space has become commercial, it has become
Greedy.
consumeristic,
Yeah.
greedy. So all that inner space is expressing itself in our social space, community
Okay.
space.
Right. Right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So that is why, let's say, whenever I've created a space, I've always asked myself, is whether my design or this space that I've created, will it enhance the quality of life of the user?
Okay.
That
Very
is my
important.
major question. It's not about colors, this, that happens. I mean, they come about, textures and colors and this, that, form and charm and all that. So, ho jata hai. But this is my basic question, and whenever I get an answer as yes, then that design is successful.
Right.
Let's say, for example, I did a school in Panchgani long back. It was, I think, 30,
Sanjeevani?
35 years. Long back, 30, 35 years back. And there were so many trees on that site that it was very difficult to design. So we located each and every tree and then designed in such a way that all the trees
Yeah,
were
around,
retained.
surrounding.
And the design became very organic. There was one tree whom I struck a good repo. It was a big old ficus tree.
Ficus
Vada
tree, yeah,
Circus
yeah.
out. So I liked that tree very much, and there were a couple of big silver oak trees which I liked. So when I designed the learning living cluster around this ficus tree,
Okay.
and there's a big space around where students can run around and play and all that. Even the flooring is done in a mosaic kind of a pattern in which I have ingrained the snakes and ladder grid and chess grid.
Oh, okay.
So the students just get the
So activities,
pieces from the room and then they start playing there, sit on the floor and all that. So I went there after a few years and I was talking to the teachers, just like how they felt about the space. The teacher said, "Oh, we are very happy here. The kids are very creative." And she said they were less violent and all that. I said, I didn't know why she was saying that. But then she gave me an example. She said that She had given an essay to write to the students on my best friends.
Okay.
There's primary school, I mean,
Huh.
third, fourth
Huh.
standard students, they were asked to write an essay on my best friend. And more than half the students wrote an essay on this ficus tree as their best friend. Now, this is what architecture can do. Suppose if I had cut the tree, or suppose if I had built somewhere else,
Absolutely.
then this wouldn't have happened. Now, these kids who have studied in that vicinity of that tree, and that rapport which they have developed with the
Yeah.
tree in their formative years, they will hesitate to cut a tree when they become adults.
Yes.
Because
That's a very important
Huh,
message. Yeah.
and so that outer space has somehow affected their inner space. So I was very happy with that. There was another client in Nagpur. I did their farmhouse, and there also they wanted me to build somewhere else. But then there were a couple of very beautiful trees there on the side. So I built one of them was wood.
Yeah.
So I built the house around the wood tree, and fortunately they didn't mind. I mean, they gave me the freedom. And after they started living there off and on, I used to get a phone call from him every 2-3 months. Yaar Shirish, idhar itna sukoon lagta hai. How can I thank you and all that. And then one day he said that he had a very short temper, especially on the road.
Oh.
Road rage, temper, and that guy.
So it's calmed down.
So he says, there was some incidents on the street. That same day he called me.
Okay.
There were some incidents in the morning when if it was a year ago, he would have blasted that guy.
Right.
But he says he said I myself was surprised how I didn't say anything, and then I realized that it was the space that I was living in.
So he was transformed from an angry man to a
quite a man, because
calmer.
I said the tree is doing that. So, and the
Very
tree and the
interesting.
natural material that we use, we didn't get a single stone from outside. Buy a single stone. All the stones that were available on the site when we did the excavation and all that, those were used. All that helps, matters.
Architect Shirish Beri is not only an architect but is also a poet, a filmmaker, a sculptor,
Painter.
and a philosopher and a painter. Explain where you got this inspiration of poetic book Wanderings and Ponderings.
For me, again, coming back to life, it may be repetitive, but life itself is so wonderful, expressing itself in so many ways, that I found one medium to be inadequate to truly express it.
Yeah.
So that is why I do architecture, but there are some things which can be expressed better through writing. So I write poetry also. Poetry is something which is very spontaneous also.
Spontaneous, yeah.
Then I paint because of the wonderful visuals which the life offers me. Then film is something which I dabbled in because it not only is audiovisual, but it also covers time.
Right.
It can go
You
from
can show many
this
things from
this
era. You
from
can
here
cover
to
an
this
era.
here to
Yeah.
so that is also very beautiful. So it's a very powerful medium, film. So that is why I took to that. And Wanderings and Ponderings has happened as a desire to express my life journey. Again, my life journey has two things happening side by side. All of us, I mean,
Right.
your life journey or the listeners, their life journey is, we are always on two life journeys simultaneously. We are on an outer journey which is physical, measurable, where you see things, hear things and all that. But at the same time, when you are on this journey, there's an inner journey happening within us. So that outer journey which is happening is expressed through my sketches
Right.
in this book, Wanderings and Ponderings.
It's
And
very
the
beautifully illustrated. Like
and
with
the inner
sketches.
journey, which I felt during these travels, during these wanderings, and during these various experiences in life is expressed through my poems.
Wow.
And those are my ponderings. So that is why it's called wanderings and ponderings. Fortunately for me, I mean, it was not fortunate for every one of us, all of us, but I tried to look at it positively. That during COVID, I had so much time to myself. I mean, in the lockdown, that I could get hold of my poems. Some poems written 50 years old back,
Okay.
some sketches which were 50 years old. Got them scanned, and the poems also. Some of them they were already typed. Some of them earlier, but I
So you
re-edited
could
them, and
compile,
I'm
you got the
compiling
time to
them
do that.
compiling them in a proper sequence. Like the first chapter is about search. So my poems are about my search in life. The second chapter is about travel, so which talks about my various travels all over the different places in the
Travel
world.
like architectural pilgrimage you have mentioned,
Yeah,
which
because
I just love the
yeah,
phrase.
because no, people keep asking me, "Are are you religious?" I said, "What do you mean? No? Have you been to Tirupati? Have you been to Makkah? Have you been to Lourdes?" And I said, "No, I had not been to any of these places." Arey, then what is your salvation? Kaise hoga and all that, you know. So because, but for me, these are
Not the
not the
place.
true sacred places. I mean, the true sacred place. For me, every day is sacred.
True.
Every like going to my retreat, going to my place in nature, being with nature is sacred. Coming back to my family is sacred. Going
Right.
to a hospital and helping somebody is sacred. Going for a good musical recital is my
Sacred.
pilgrimage.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that way the whole life is a pilgrimage. So that's why I don't go to any of these typical pilgrimage places. But in architecture, I have many such pilgrimage places, out of which I have sketched and written about 10, 12
Yeah.
pilgrimage
I
places
have poems I've seen.
from whom I seek inspiration. Some of them are very old architecture, like Kailash Temple. Kailash Temple
Absolutely
is,
fantastic.
almost 2,000 years old, but still it's something to you. So like that, I have architecture places where I
So you are
really
in
go
love
to
with those places,
pay
yeah.
my tribute.
प्लीज़ वी वुड लाइक टू हमारे दर्शक भी सुनना चाहेंगे एक 4 लाइन्स आपके किसी पोएम की.
I was trying to understand life, observe it during my wanderings and ponderings. So during one of my wanderings, I wrote these 4 lines. Look, the name of the poem is Look. Look, and you will see that every person has something to offer. Look deep, and you will realize that every animal has something to offer.
Okay.
Look deeper, and you will realize that everything has something to offer,
Right.
inanimate things. Look, look beyond the depth. Look beyond the depth, and you will realize that nothing has everything to offer.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. You follow values like Sanyam and Vivek, restrained, and they make you rich. That's what you have said and you follow. So हमारे दर्शकों को ये बताइए कि ये वैल्यूज़ फॉलो करके रिच कैसे होते हैं, इन व्हाट वे, एंड हाउ दिस वैल्यूज़ कैन ट्रांसफॉर्म योर लाइफ.
These, I mean, I have not read them somewhere and I said that this is good, but I have realized them myself because right from the beginning, I have found great clarity in simplicity.
राइट.
You know, the more you clutter your space, outer space as well as the inner space, there is lesser clarity
राइट.
about what you want to do and how you want to do it. You know, so for me, Sayyam works in many ways. I mean, it works in terms of my possessions, like cars or my houses. My house, very simple houses and non-air conditioned, no gadgets and stuff like that. You know, very simple houses. We sleep on the floor. My entire my wardrobe, I have a cupboard, but out of that, about 2 or 3 shelves are for my clothes. I have restricted my wardrobe to 4 jeans, four pairs of trousers, So anyway, I have to go meet the minister somewhere, or I have to give a talk somewhere. I have to come sit with you, or I have to go for a to my lake house. I wear the same house.
Yeah.
So I have only 4.
I have
Very
seen you
पांचवा आ जाता
always
है
in the
पांचवा
same
आ
attire.
जाता है
Yeah.
तो I give it away.
Okay.
Give one away. So, because I have uncluttered myself, because I don't feel greedy about buying this, buying that, buying that. So then life becomes very simple.
Right.
And there is so much space for doing something else, some more creative thinking and some positive thinking, contributory thinking also to the society. And second is discretion, you said, Vivek.
Vivek.
Vivek is discretion, that is also very important, because in today's world of uh, information, I mean, there's so much information that is being bombarded upon us through so many mediums. You know, what to choose and what not to choose,
True.
what to listen to and what not to listen
What is
to,
right,
what to
what is
see and
wrong.
what not to see. You need discretion for that. You need Vivek for that. So that is a very important value that must be nourished by each
Nourished.
one of us. Otherwise, we'll get confused or we'll drown in this consumeristic flow. This flow of consumerism and commercialism will drown ourselves in that.
True. You have also started some fellowship or funds for the poor. So let us know
When
about that.
when I turned 60, my family wanted to celebrate. Normally, people celebrate Ekshashti and all that. So having a big party, a big affair, calling friends and family members. So I said, before they planned anything, I told them that give me some space. So I disappeared for about 10, 15 days during my birthday, on my birthday, and went into a retreat at the Krishnamurti Foundation's Valley School in Bangalore. It's a very beautiful 100-acre wilderness campus with a lot of wild trees. And I was asking myself, "Ki, what have I done in the last 60 years? What are my true concerns, and can I address them, and all that. So I have written a poem on that also,
Yeah.
on my 60th birthday. So then I found out that my true concerns were to be close to nature is one, and secondly, I found that there was too much injustice and iniquity in the society. And because of that, I was thinking whether I can do something to reduce that iniquity. Secondly, there was so much greed and exploitation of nature. So I thought, can I devote the rest of my life in reducing that
Right.
exploitation? Thirdly, I was concerned about architecture education also. So, and the way architects are working. So I, was, I decided to spend some time for that also. That is why the fellowship started after
Okay. Okay.
that. That is why I keep going to different colleges and universities here and abroad uh, to talk to students, interact with them. But for the enhancement, reduction of the iniquity and reduction of the exploitation of nature, I decided I will also contribute most of my savings, which I had done till then, to create a fund.
Okay.
That fund is called Humane Equity and Dignity Fund.
Okay. Human Equity and Dignity Fund. Okay.
Because I wanted to bring dignity in the lives of the poor people also, and also in nature. So, so that we did. Then later on, when we were living in a large ancestral house, which was very energy intensive, which was designed by my father, built by my father. So we sold that also to enhance this fund.
Yeah.
So by selling that house, the fund was enhanced pretty much, because I didn't use any of the money that I got from selling of that house for myself. So it has gone into the fund, and through this fund, we are doing so many activities like we're building toilets for girls' toilets in remote schools. We're doing toilets for slum dwellers in their homes. We're doing some patients' shelters for our patients' relatives and friends to stay in the government hospitals. There's no place for them. We are planting thousands of trees, so in so many open areas.
So it's not an NGO.
It's not an NGO. It is a CSR, but it's
CSR.
not the typical CSR which people talk about. It is not a corporate social responsibility which has been forced upon you.
Forced upon.
Nobody has forced me. Nobody has told me. I know I'm not interested in saving taxes or anything like that. So this CSR is my conscientious social responsibility.
Right, right. It's
So
very important.
it has this CSR has evolved, or it has germinated from my conscience.
From your core conscience.
Core conscious, and it gives me happiness by spending this money for such causes.
For the benefits of the society.
Society in different ways, humanity, and even for education also.
So, initial days, you were inspired by vernacular architecture of the world, and then you started your practice. But now we can see the modern world or the modern construction, urban construction. People are now listening that there is a green architecture. So, what is the different trends in the Indian architecture and how they impact the common man or the society in general? So, what are your views upon that?
Green architecture. I've never applied for a rating
Right.
to any of my buildings which are quite sustainable uh, at any forum, that international forum or Indian forum.
Right.
But I do it for myself, and I follow some tenets of vernacular architecture. Follow some my understanding of nature and all that, and I design. But the green architecture, what is called green architecture today, is a kind of a misnomer, I think, and it is a hype. And they want credits, they want some thing
Right.
out of it, back from it.
But what they do give to the society, like the common people, how they are benefited from that?
I mean, it looks like a whitewash, greenwash. I mean, I would call it.
Okay.
I mean, where superficially थोड़ा plants लगा दिया, terrace garden बना दिया, तो green नहीं होता building. Basically, I think true green and true sustainability, which vernacular architecture did follow, evolves, and it can really happen through genuine inner attitudes.
Okay.
If attitude of compassion and empathy for everything around you, if that is there, then green and this thing would happen.
Sustainability will happen.
Spontaneously, sustainability will happen. Because then you will not over-exploit. Then you will not hurt someone. You will not damage something. Secondly, it will happen if you value simplicity and
Right.
Sanyam in life. If you really value simplicity and Sanyam, then your sustainability will happen
Automatically will
automatically. You
happen.
don't need to have a label for it.
Right.
You know?
So you don't need any green certification or anything.
Yeah.
But will this mere transformation of green certification will benefit
To some extent, hopefully,
zero
to
carbon
some
food?
extent if the energy is saved, but it is not going to have a major impact on that.
Okay.
I mean, if you follow some of those guidelines which have been mentioned in the green certification, it will help in some
Okay.
way. Like some energy savings would be there, some climatological understanding will be there, and
Okay.
some material saving, resource savings may be there. And
To some extent, we
it
can
will
achieve
help
that.
to some extent.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
totally bad, but then if it's practiced genuinely.
Okay. As a filmmaker, what was the inspiration behind Unfolding White, the film which was recently done?
Again, come back to the same thing. Through this film, I wanted to show how uh, our values in life are important for creating our designs. So, if you see the film, it is not a self promotion film.
Okay.
I'm not there in the film at all.
Okay.
Except at the end, I'm sitting near the river and watching the water flow.
Okay.
And there is no mention of my name and my this thing in the film with all these projects shown. But we are talking about issues in life. Can this help in bringing people closer to each other? Can my architecture help in bringing people closer to nature? Can my architecture help in bringing closer to them their own selves?
Okay.
So these are my concerns in life, and I wanted to express them through my film and work, through my poems and my architecture.
Also through the paintings.
And
sketching.
there are some paintings
Yes.
in there too.
So today's generation, they are after the designers, the fellow architects. They are after money, fame, name. So how can you give the message for them to change this lookout for the life or this passion in life and be more compassionate than being a passionate you have mentioned and you have taught throughout your life through different workshops and through your lectures. So, how can we tell them that just don't be after money and fame and follow your dreams and have compassion?
I'll give you two or three uh, quotations saying which have touched my heart. The first one is what is happening in today's society, very harshly but beautifully put by Nani Palkiwala.
Right.
He says that we are living today in a society that is suffering. They're very beautiful words. You have to really listen to them. We are living in a society that is suffering from the fatty degeneration of its conscience.
Oh,
And because of that, and because of that, we are, and because of that, and our single minded pursuit of money is desiccating our heart, impoverishing our imagination, and shriveling our principles, things like that. Because we are living in such a society, then I would like to give one more quotation, a beautiful quotation that I read by a writer called Vance Packard long back in my school days. The name of the book is Waste Makers. In that book, he dedicates that book to his parents who never confused a good life with the number of goods they have.
okay.
So I would tell the students and the
So
next
important.
generation that please don't confuse a good life with the number of goods you have. That both have nothing to do with each other. Like I have very few goods with myself, but I'm living a good life. I may not be when I was drawing very little money from the office also, and I was living on my farm. I had a small swimming pool which I had made from with 2,500 rupees. But I was living a millionaire's life. I had a own swimming pool and this and that. So I was living a very rich life, and I have been living a very rich life even today without the riches.
Without the riches.
Thirdly, I would ask you not to measure your life, by the number of breaths you take. Measure it by those moments in your life which take your breath away.
Wow. Wow.
That's all. Wish you all the best.
So this lecture was very transforming. Parivartan to the core. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Parivartan,
Parivartan,
chance
chance
to
to
change.
change. Thank you.